to the East Africa studio, broadcasting from the East Africa Power Industry Convention in Nairobi. Today I am with Phyllis Ombonyo, who is a business development expert based in Kenya, and she is also our East Africa issue pre-2016 Women in Energy interviewee. Welcome, Phyllis.
Thank you.
The first question that I have for you is that you're a business development expert here in Kenya, and that's encompassed quite a bit. Can you explain to us exactly what area of expertise you have?
Okay, so thank you, Nicolette. I very much appreciate you having me for this interview and at this conference. You rightly pointed out that my interests are quite broad, based on my previous experience in the places that I've been to, both in the public and private sector. So I have expertise in strategy development, in capacity building, in grants management, some interest also in gender mainstreaming, but perhaps one area that I have developed strong passion for most recently is sustainability. And this has got to be triple line sustainability, both in terms of economic, social, and environmental. So those would sort of be my strengths. And perhaps it's worth mentioning that my most recent project was to enable my former organization, NetFund, to come up with a fund that would enable affordable and innovative access to capital for SMEs who are involved in the energy sector and other areas. So those are sort of some of the areas that I have strengths in.
Here at the East African Power Industry Convention, you've attended a couple of the sessions. You've attended a Women in Energy, Power Africa and African Development Bank luncheon. You've also attended the award ceremony last night. What, out of all of that, what has stood out for you?
It has been very exciting, and all of it has been so good that it's actually very challenging to select which really stood out. But perhaps I would wish to talk about the Women in African Power. I thought that was a really brilliant idea, which I would wish to see happening in subsequent conferences of this nature, because this was a grouping of women in energy sharing about the challenges that they experience, the possible opportunities that they could leverage, and how to form a formidable source team so that to tackle the most pressing challenges in the energy sector. So it was really interesting to see innovators in the room, Charity from Strauss talking about their innovative idea on how they're integrating solar and tiles, roofing tiles. I thought that was really brilliant. And then we also had development institutions like the African Development Bank and USAID in the room. And we floated the idea of even coming up with an innovation fund for women entrepreneurs in energy, which I think would be critical to ensure that women have an even playing ground in the innovative space for energy. So for me, that really stood out. But allow me to just quickly say that the awards was also quite exciting. Having been a judge and now eventually seeing this culminating into this excellent ceremony was so good, and I think every winner deserved it, but also just to remind all those who had been shortlisted that they too have made great strides, and it was actually not a very easy thing for judges to settle down on who the winners are. So congratulations to the winners. Yeah.
Yes, I must say that this year the judging process was incredibly intense. It was so difficult to choose between these high-level professionals and projects that are really exceeding. So yeah. I agree with you there.
That's right, Nicolette. Actually, I happen to be presenting this award of Outstanding Woman in Power, and we had up to 12, 15 finalists or so. So that just goes to reinforce the point that you made, that it was really hard to select who the right winner would be.
Yes, so
yeah.
Congratulations to all the nominees.
That's right, yeah.
Moving on to the fact that you've been exposed to green initiatives and through your leadership at NetFund. So my question to you is, in terms of environmental impact assessments, what is it that projects should look out for when they are going to invest in Kenya?
Okay. So thank you for that question. So just like any other project, I think of interest to you would be where do you get your human resource, where do you get your raw materials, and are they sustainable? So I think for me that is the number one question in the 21st century that any investor should be asking themselves. How sustainable are we generating electricity? So that naturally pushes us to move to the renewable side because we know that coal and other sources are getting depleted, so we can no longer keep relying on those. And then there are other effects that are associated in terms of the health of the community. And I think another aspect to consider would be the social aspect. How inclusive is the project? Are you benefiting all members of the divide, both economically and even in terms of gender? So for me, I think it has to be something that is well thought out at a more comprehensive level. Yeah.
A recent study on Kenya showed that it is one of the East African countries that is leading in the solar off-grid market. In your opinion, what has been the factors that has led to this?
Okay. So one thing we must appreciate the context and the history of Kenya. First and foremost, I think it's just important to commend the current government. There has been an enabling environment that spurs innovations to happen, and not just in the energy space, but across the greater divide. We know that, for example, M-Pesa was born in Kenya, and something that we take great pride in. And so there seems to be an enabling environment coupled with the entrepreneurial spirit of the Kenyan people, which really makes it exciting. So I think those are some of the reasons, but perhaps Kenya is also advantaged in the sense that we seem to be the regional hub for East Africa for many other things. Cosmopolitan in nature. Come to Nairobi and you'll meet people from all corners of the world. So when we interact, those are great opportunities for synergies to be created, resulting in innovation.
So lastly, Phyllis, with this enabling environment that has been created, what advice would you give to international companies that want to now invest in Kenya?
Okay, so I would say as you come ready to listen, but also know that the government is very much willing to support you. They see the business case for economic development, so that already makes a conducive environment to do so. And also in terms of access of skills, I think we have very highly qualified people in the Kenyan job market. So come and you will find the skills that you need. Another important addition is that Kenyans have a great work ethic. So they really commit to whatever they give themselves to do. The policy space is also improving and it keeps changing from time to time. I know one of the latest discussions in Parliament is this bill to support mini-grid projects to send some of their excess power to KPLC, the mains. And I think that is really great. It's already happening at Strathmore University, and it has potential to happen because we've got several other mini-grid and microgrid projects throughout the country. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching. I'm Nicolette Campbell-Fonseca, editor of South Africa, and coming to you from the East African Power Industry Convention.